the pillar of the community I have now was just from that brand alone, you know. And then it became a wave of like the models that I dealt with, like, you know, what are you doing with this brand to where these models feel so safe and seen, and why does it look so good? So it's like at this point we have hundreds and thousands of girls like commenting under the picture like, listen, I want to be a part of this, just because they see the way that like the, you know, the environment we created, and the vibes we curate for anybody that's a part of it. And that became a thing. And that's when I was like, okay, bet, let's do a fashion show.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Bamboo. Yes, I am sitting in the podcast room at the Bamboo Detroit location right now, which is where you have seen a ton of the Black Fridays podcast episodes. And the reason that is because Bamboo has been Black Friday's creative hub for the last couple of years. However, it's much more than our creative HQ. It's home to hundreds of entrepreneurs, creators, thinkers, and doers just like yourself. Now, whether you need a private suite that's customized to your liking so that you can effectively get work done, or if you need a space to be able to host a meeting or a conference call, Bamboo has flexible, creative spaces and a supportive community to match. Now, if you don't get anything from this message, I need you to do this right here. Go ahead, click the link to check out Bamboo's selection of private suites at any of their locations. That's right, any of their Bamboo co-work locations. And you can also find a link in the show notes as well to get those details. And it's time for you, yeah, that's right, you, to join the Bamboo community. That's it. Time to get into the show. What up, though, Black Fridays family? Welcome back to another installment of the Black Fridays podcast. Before we get into today's episode, I need you to hit that like button, subscribe, and then also drop some comments. And make sure you share some podcast episodes, watch some previous episodes, send them to your people as well so we can keep this thing going. All right, now that I got that out of the way, I want to introduce you all to my guest today, who is helping make fashion more inclusive and equitable, Miss Brooklynn Kobe. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty great. Thank you for joining us today.
Good. I'm so happy to be here.
Absolutely. And so congratulations first on all the work that you've been doing in terms of FormFit and your other business ventures. But secondly, I think I'm going to have to go back and fact check this, but you might be the youngest person to ever be on Black Fridays. Potentially. So,
what?
Yeah, potentially. If not the youngest, definitely the second youngest.
Okay, let's put that in the world record book.
Yeah,
then.
we gonna put that in the record book for sure. But it just goes to show as a testament as the work that you've been doing. So we'd love for you to talk more about us. Well, I would like to start here actually, because the business that you do is rooted in fashion. Could you talk to us about, for you as someone in your life thus far, when did fashion become a part of it?
Yeah.
Is that something that's always been in you since you were younger? Is that something that you developed later on throughout life more recently? When did fashion become such a thing for you that you wanted to develop a business and a brand out of it?
Yeah, I think fashion has been something that's kind of like just always kind of circled around a little bit. Never been like at the focal point, but like as I was growing up, my mom is owns a hair salon, and so when I was younger, I used to do like hair shows and things like walk-in hair shows, do hair magazines, all of these different things. So fashion has always been kind of like, you know, just around, like lingering around, and I dibbled and dabbled in it. And then of course you get on social media as you get a little older, and then fashion hits your doorstep there. And then with my mom just kind of like being in my ear about like, you know, make sure you start looking the part, make sure you start being the part. And I think fashion from there, it kind of just took off for me, like as far as my social media presence, and then the way I dress, that was a thing, you know, even the schools I went to. So every place that I've been at kind of positioned it to kind of be a part of my lifestyle. Then going to Cass High School. So, you know, things like that, like all of these little different details in my life have kind of led it to be a focal point. And then really realistically, there was no reason for me to just like start a fashion brand. It was something I thought of one day, and it just so happened to work and stick for me. So yeah.
And then because excuse me, I noticed that you have experience in modeling as well. Did that also play a factor in terms of you wanting to take it a step further and do a fashion related brand?
Yeah, I think before I realized that, I was really, really good at selling things, modeling was where it started. Like, just like, because like I said, doing hair shows and like magazines and things like that, I've always been pretty like confident in, showcasing my face in a different light. And then, like I said, social media helped with getting my brand out there. So I think for sure, like, that's for sure something that played a huge part. Yeah.
And when do you feel like you started to think from a business perspective or entrepreneurially? Because I know you mentioned your mom owns a hair salon. So was that a part of it in terms of your upbringing, or you didn't start to think from a business perspective until later in life? But when did that even kind of like cross your mind? Like, let me go into business for myself and create something.
So we first started with something that of course started in-house, which was I started selling before I even got into the whole fashion really heavy scene, was hair extensions. And that's just because that made sense for us, like just being a family business and things like that. We were leveraging my social media platform and also the following that I had to start a business, which is why hair extensions came into play. And that worked, and that was like a thing of like, okay, you can do this. Actually, going back before hair extensions, I sold lip gloss. That was my first business thing, that I decided to sell. And that was when I was in high school. Maybe I was about 15. That worked. So everything kind of worked and lined up and led me to this moment now that I'm in, where, once again, fashion is like at a focal point. After I did the hair extensions, that's what literally granted me the opportunity, with all the work I had did with the hair extensions, that's what granted me the opportunity to start my clothing brand, FormFit.
Dope. And then quick question before we go into the next segment of Black Fridays. At CAS, what was your curriculum? Like, what was your focus?
It was communications.
Okay, yep. Dope. All right. Mm-hmm. I did business and technology. So I thought, I was thinking you might have did that. Did you do like BPA or DECA, anything like that?
No. So what's so crazy is I played sports in high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was kind of that, like, halfway through high school I was playing sports, so I wasn't really in much clubs and things like that. And too, like, the other half of high school I started to run a business, so I didn't get deep into that type of thing, but I was also still very, very involved in the school. Like, CAS is that place where like everybody is selling something, so at that point, like, pop-up shops and things like that were a big thing for CAS. So instead of like being in those clubs, I was doing the pop-up shops outside of school, and that's kind of what also gave me that pop as well.
Fire. So I want to now introduce you to my favorite part of Black Fridays, which is Freestyle Fridays. I don't know how many times I gotta say it, but if you have a brand or a business that you build in, then you definitely need legal protection. And I know exactly what your problem is. Too many of us wait until there is a problem in order to seek out these type of services. But guess what? This is the exact reason why I teamed up with the law office of Beverly Bill. They've got consultations and perfectly crafted legal templates for you to leverage at your fingertips. So because y'all Black Fridays family, this is what I'm going to do for y'all. If you head over to www.beverlybilllaw.com, once again, that's www.beverlybilllaw.com. You can hit the link in the show notes right now. You can get $25 off all consultations using a promo code BF25. That's BF25 for $25 off all consultations. Also, the contract templates that I know you need for your business and the projects that you've been working on, you can get 35% off all of those contracts by using the code BF35 at checkout. So all you have to do is head over to www.beverlybilllaw.com to lock in your protection today. All right, now let's get back into the episode. So, okay. Brooklyn, I hope you got some bars from us. If you can sing, give us some poetry, you can rap, whatever you got for us.
You caught me off guard with this one. I don't think I could give it to you like that. I don't know if I could do this.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I got it out for you. You could answer a random assortment of questions, which is really what Freestyle Fridays is. And it's just our rapid fire questions.
Okay, I can do that.
All right, bet.
Okay.
All right, so let's start here. If you could only wear one color for the rest of your life, like this is only what your wardrobe looks like, what color would that be?
Brown.
Really?
Yes.
What's the significance of brown?
So when I started FormFit, my mom was like, I don't want to see no more brown. But like that was the brand colors that I created because I just love the color brown, like a brown, tan, nude. All of those colors. I love that. I for sure love brown.
Okay. Do you have anything in your rotation or your playlist that people would be surprised that you listen to?
I listen to a lot of pop music. So like Miley Cyrus, Adele, all of those different type of artists. I love pop music. Fire.
What's a common misconception about you that you feel people might not fully understand or they get wrong about you?
I think people like look at me from social media and think that like it's just so easy, you know, or it's like I'm doing it big, or like, you know, I'm living life large. Like, you know, not saying that I'm not, but more so I'm living like in what I think success is, you know, and what I've accomplished to this day. Like everything is not perfect. Everything is not all, you know, butterflies. And people, like a lot of young people that I talk to and things like that, like even when I go in places and speak, you know, they think that things like that entrepreneurs do is super easy, and it's not really an easy thing. Nothing is easy about like creating a brand from scratch, you know? So I think that's the biggest misconception that like people take off the internet and things like that, not only about me, but people we just see as entrepreneurs doing grand stuff in general, that it's like all together, or it's just all lining up perfectly for them, because it's not like that.
What brands would you say inspired FormFit?
I would for sure say I love Skims. Like as far as how she like takes her color schemes and go all the way, and then her branding, I love Skims. What I originally got the idea of like FormFit from is like my love for Pretty Little Things when I was in high school. I love Pretty Little Things. I love the photo shoots they do, the branding that they do, and it's just a classy overall put together brand. And that's even kind of how I started to market it, with like always having new drops or always doing these different things to like stand out, like going above and beyond for the advertisement. So that's what started that for me.
And then I had one more for you, but I'm blanking. So I had one more for you, but if I come back to me, then I'll definitely bring it back up.
Okay.
But on that note, we're going to conclude Freestyle Friday. So thank you for partaking in the randomness. And I wanted to ask you, in terms of your baby FormFit, and when you started to create this thing and come up with this idea and decide to actually turn it into a full blown out brand. Well, first, could you break down to us what is inclusive of FormFit, and then like the additional brands that goes with that, and then also products and any services that you may have with that, so we have an understanding, and then also kind of walk us through the journey of idea to actually turning this into a business.
Yeah, so just giving a little backstory about like what I've been through, like, and as far as like creating FormFit and how it came about. A lot of people don't know that FormFit was not anything that was like super planned. It was something that I literally sat and told my dad, like, I want to start a loungewear brand, and he was like, do it, and I was like, bet, and that was that. And I was like, I want to name it FormFit, and I literally went on like that. Crazy story. Once I graduated, because I graduated high school during the pandemic. So at that time, you know, life was kind of like shaky, I would say, just because, you know, what you think you're gonna finish and accomplish like gets taken away from you, like not being able to go to prom, not being able to like, you know, walk across the stage, and that's all you go to high school for. So it's kind of like, you know, what am I about to do next in this era of like having to sit down and just be still? And also too, I didn't want to go to college. Like when I first graduated like high school, the only reason I ended up going was because first my mom and dad told me to go, but like second, like I got a full ride to go to school. So I'm like, okay, they like, it's free, why don't not just go? So I'm like, okay, cool, I'll go. So but before I got to high school, I was literally like working really, really hard to save up money from Kobe collections. And this was my first time that I got to put like all of my effort into it, like for real though.
Kobe collections was your lip gloss brand?
No, this was my hair extensions.
Gotcha.
At this point, lip gloss is far gone.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I'm literally working super hard. I saved up $10,000 for Kobe collections.
Yeah.
So I saved up $10,000, and I do a scholarship. Right, I get a scholarship. I applied for one scholarship. This is just so crazy how life works. I applied for one scholarship for school, and I got that one scholarship. So I had my free ride, and then I had an additional scholarship that I applied for by doing a little essay. And then I meet the president of this really important company at that scholarship brunch that I had to go to. And, my mom is telling me, like, go pitch yourself. Like, go say what you have to say and put yourself out there, because you never know what could happen. So I go and pitch myself. I get a meeting with them, and he tells us, like, you the first person that ever has came to me and told me what you do and what you need. And that was admirable for him. And right then and there, he gave me $10,000.
Wow.
And then that's when the birth of FormFit came. So I utilized that. I invested it back into Kobe collections, and then that's when I was able to create the money for FormFit. So I get my ideas together for FormFit. I have literally like 4 outfits to do the drop. I do a photo shoot. The photo shoot goes viral. The photo shoot goes viral, and then my first drop, I have 200 orders. My first ever drop for FormFit had 200 orders. Mind you, keep in mind, I have 4 outfits. And this was supposed to be a whole pre-order situation. So me and my dad in the basement slaving trying to get the orders out, because what else are we going to do? So this goes on months and months and months of me, like, the pillar of the community I have now was just from that brand alone, and then it became a wave of like the models that I dealt with, like, what are you doing with this brand to where these models feel so safe and seen, and why does it look so good? So it's like at this point we have hundreds and thousands of girls like commenting under the picture, like, listen, I want to be a part of this, just because they see the way that, like, the environment we created, and the vibes we curate for anybody that's a part of it. And that became a thing. And that's when I was like, okay, bet, let's do a fashion show. My goal for the fashion show was to simply promote me, like to promote my brand, FormFit.
Yeah.
But with that being said, of course, we add other brands within the community in it, and then that does super well. So that's when the FormFit fashion show sprung about. And now at that point, we're having like 50, my first fashion show, I had maybe 50 vendors. I'll say like 35 this time, because we're in a smaller venue. 35 vendors. I have maybe 30 models, and we packed it out of control. The first one, we do my second one. We have about maybe 300 guests at that fashion show. We do 50 vendors at that point. Then we doing 40 models, and then we do my next one, and now I'm at Masonic Temple. So we jump in from Finkel to Masonic Temple within a year and a half. Masonic Temple, we sold that out of capacity. We couldn't let nobody in the door. 600 plus guests, and now we're at 80 vendors, and we're at 70 models, and then we're at 30 designers, so it's just continuing to be a thing of growth every single year that we put on another event. And then after that, I'm like, all of these people, like, it's so many different brands in, within me doing these things that have latched on to me just because of the experience that I've provided for them. I've had vendors that have been with me since the very first fashion show that I've ever done, and to me that means something. So like, if I'm able to provide an opportunity to these people, why not make it something more? That's where the FormFit Forum was birthed, because I wasn't going to smash like community events with a fashion show. Like, a fashion show is a fashion show, and community events are community events. And that's when I just did like my events with my model director, Taylor Lang, because we have a great following of models. We did the Model Mastery Summit. I did the Model Connect. Now we just did a lock-in a few weeks ago. And then I did my first ever like large event. It wasn't supposed to be large, but you know, like when you're creative, your mind just kind of like go everywhere. So you, even the things that you think are going to be small or you want to be something just like little, ends up being larger than life. And the Entrepreneur Expo really sealed the deal for me in March, that, you know, this is the place that I belong at, like being for the people in the community that I created. And yeah, so now we're just creating different experiences. I want to curate different experiences for people, like the ecosystem that I created, to continue to come back and get these resources and knowledge that may be hard for them to get in other spaces.
That's what I really love about your story and the journey to what you've been building is the community aspect of it. And there's been a lot of intentionality on your end from the inclusive piece of it, from the products that you provide to how you structure your shows and your events. So could you talk about why that was so important for you to be inclusive in your clothing and how you're inclusive in your clothing and then also your community as a whole?
So I think, realistically, like when you even go on TV and things like that, like it's no longer the day and age where like certain people aren't accepted in certain spaces. I feel like if you're not accepted here, then go make your, like they're gonna go make their own lane. But like if you're a business owner and you say that you're for the people, why are you like outcasting a certain type of people? Like, you know, and that was big for me, and that's where I thrive at, is allowing, even like saying, like for models, a lot of models that you see in my shows and things like that, they might not go to New York and get casted right off the rip because that's not their lane. But here at FormFit, we create a lane for them to, you know, to thrive. And if they're not ready, we get them ready to be able to push them into those spaces. Because sometimes, like a lot of things that we're lacking is just like direction. It's not that you're not meant to be in a certain place. It's just you don't know how to be in that place, or you don't know how to like maintain yourself when you get in that place. So I think that was big for me to always be inclusive on the type of opportunities that you're allowing people to be in, because there's so many life-changing stories of you being a resource to somebody if you just simply like see the vision in them. And my mom always told me, like, even when it comes to looking at models, you have to see the like beauty in like every person that you know that you meet. Like figure out where they can fit and how you can make them thrive in what they want to do. So I think that's been big, and I attach that to everything that I'm doing, even with the like community resources and the like events we do for FormFit Forum now. We're not looking for the total package of a business owner. We're looking for somebody that just simply has the passion to be a business owner, but they need the direction and help. And that's where we come in to push them off to be able to go and get funding or grants or just even higher resources than they might have, you know, would have possibly gotten before.
Yeah. And in terms of your product, could you talk about why you decided to develop the type of clothing that you did? Because I know you have like a focus on somewhat athleisure or kind of sporty, more apparel. Why was that? How did that come about for you? Like, why do you decide to make that type of apparel?
So that was kind of like I said, like with FormFit, it was just kind of something I wanted to do. I didn't have no logic behind it. That's just who I was as a person now. Now getting more into business and things like that, which you'll kind of see in the next upcoming months of like the rebrand of FormFit, because I've been taking a little chill pill because I kind of know where I'm going with it now. But we're trying to get out of that loungewear aspect, because I want it to be loungewear but also kind of fitting into the person that I am now, more on the business side of things. So we're gonna mash loungewear comfortability into like more luxury, because I want it to be like a luxury lounge or a luxury lifestyle wear brand instead of more so loungewear. So in the upcoming future, you should see like sweaters like with patches on them, or like even things like suits, but still in that comfortable lane, that still looks like it's very casual, but it also can be elevated. I don't want to be the brand that you only can go a few places in. Like, we need something for every occasion. I mean, that's where I think I'm going, that lane I'm about to go into.
And then so are you manufacturing these things yourself? How are you like developing your actual products, and what's that process like?
So realistically, I'm not necessarily considered a fashion designer. You know, I don't sew and like handcraft. I have a manufacturer that sources everything for us through Pakistan. So he does all the heavy lifting, and I'm just, you know, pitching my ideas to him.
And so you come up with ideas of like your lines and what you want to do, and then you basically like, hey, can you make it the way I want it?
And I feel like too, now that I'm going into a heavier lane, because it's gonna take a little bit more work. I'm gonna have to get more like involved in that creative process, because right now I sell loungewear. It's super simple. It's copy and paste. It's only jogging pants and a hoodie.
Yeah.
It's only so much you can do. So right now I'm in that space of like, we have like plethora logos, smacking it on 6 different things, you know, and just finding the designs of the style we want that jogging suit to be. But now I'm gonna have to go a little bit deeper with like, you know, being a little bit more tedious on the creative process, since I'm going into a different lane now.
Absolutely. How do you come up with the ideas of like the stuff that you want to develop? Do you have a team that you like sit down with, or is these like your thoughts and you like, I got to get them out? Okay.
For sure, my own thoughts. So for FormFit, ironically, my mom and dad is like my only 2 teams, and then you go in the fashion show sector and the FormFit forum sector, and I have a staff of 12. So with FormFit, it's kind of a thing of like, it's not at the point where it needs everybody in its ear. Like, you know, whereas FormFit Forum and FormFit Fashion Show, it's only going to thrive if people are involved. So that's kind of my 2 different elements that I have going on all of those.
Got you. Now, talk to me about the curating event aspect, because I know that that's a big thing for you as well. And then we talked about the inclusivity of those events and the intentionality behind it. But for you, what has your experience been like developing the forum and or the fashion show? Because I can only imagine, like, the only fashion shows that I went to for real back in the day was the ones that we had on campus when I went to Michigan. But like doing one for real, obviously, you know, putting your own energy, your own money, your own efforts up for it. What is that like for you? Like, is it a super pressurous situation, or do you like thrive? You absolutely love doing it. How do you feel when you are putting stuff like that together?
So what's so crazy is like, I'm a very anxious person, I feel like, but when I create events, I feel like I really thrive. And I could be under pressure, but it's a good type of pressure. Like, I seen this post the other day on Instagram where it says, like, you know, like, what a blessing it is to be like tired of doing something that you like birthed, you know, or like that you like got the opportunity to create. And I really do see it that way. You know, with events, like, it's different. My feelings are different when it comes to the clothes and the fashion shows, because I feel like with FormFit, that's my baby, and that's something that created all of this for me. But realistically, in the future, would that be something, you get what I'm saying, that sticks and like stays forever? We never know. That might be something we build off to be a super large franchise, and we allow someone else to get like to run that, you know, like how Good American is, and even how Skims is. Skims has a co-partner where she's still the owner of it, but she gives the creative side and the meticulous things to somebody else. So maybe that's where that is for that, because I'm not a fashion designer, so you can only push something so hard to where it can go. But when it comes to events, those are my thoughts, my ideas. Well, FormFit is too, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I have to execute it. Like, I have to be the one to execute the fashion show if it's going to run. Like, I have to run the ball, and I have to do everything that involves it. Like, and even when it comes to team members and things like that, if I don't have the right people in place, it doesn't like run. But I'm okay with that, you know? I'm okay with all the pressure that comes with throwing events. And I think it's because I really like the way like people vouch for it, you know, and I like the fact that you can give somebody a life-changing experience or a platform that they never had just by doing something like, you know, that you love to do with something that I love to do. other people have gotten so many blessings because of it. And I think that's what really makes it enjoying for me and not like a job. Like if I could, I would throw an event every other month. Like honestly, because it's that fun.
What about the team that you built? How did that come together? How did you find those people, or did they find you?
A little bit of both. Like I smashed everybody together. Like these are all people that's all been in my life. But if I felt like they were on my team, like a lot of them are their own creatives, and we came together to do this. So it's kind of cool because it's like you kind of don't have to teach because they already know, because they're used to doing it in other spaces. And then I have even some of my models that I've worked with that I've put them on my team just because I've seen characteristics in them that I thought fit. Like I have a model named Honey. Like she's like the best person ever. She'll literally light up any room she walks in. And I'm like, she just treats so much like people with so much care. And so I'm like, you know what, Honey, like, why don't you be the hospitality manager of the fashion show? Because that fits you. So, and then I have another model named Cheyenne. She's somebody that's very super organized. She has like 18 degrees. And she's modeled for me at one point. And she was like, she's like a big guru on like, making sure things like are nice and neat. I'm like, how about you come and be the ticket manager? So all of these people have been people just around, and then we just came together.
And I saw you made a video not too long ago about you and your team having to meet up, and then everybody, it was like, let's see how late everybody is. Why was everybody late? What was the excuses?
We have no excuse. I don't know how to defend us there. Like but that's what happens when you working with all creatives. Cause like you coming from this place, she coming from Ohio, she coming from another fashion show. Taylor got 8 castings. Like it's just so much. We doing all so much different stuff, and we just mashing it together. But the thing I love about them though is like regardless of the fact it's gonna get done. Like it don't matter what time we do it. We could have got there at 8:00. Like whatever we had to do, it's gonna get done, and we're gonna do it to the best of our ability. I'm not the type of leader that like I'm not a micromanager, so I don't, because I was late. So like I can only hold you so accountable. Like and then too, like me working as well. Like me used to work like at the place I just worked at, that also showed me a lot of grace. The person that I worked under and stuff like that, she was like the epitome of like what you would want in a boss if you worked in a workplace. So I think that also taught me like a lot of grace too.
Did you see yourself or envision yourself being a leader at this stage in your life? Or did you kind of see, because you just mentioned like you had worked somewhere previously and then obviously you have your own ventures going on, but did you see yourself being a leader at this point? So
I always knew that I was going to do something. Like I always knew that like, because I come from an entrepreneurial spirit family. Like, I've always had that battery in my back. Even when I didn't know who I was and like the potential that I had, my mom was shoving it down my throat. Like, put your makeup on, put your dress on, put on them heels. So I always knew that I was going to be something, but not to this capacity and not this fast, I would feel like. But it's like crazy because every time I do an event, it's just more and more notoriety coming from it, and it kind of blows my mind, how much you can do in such a little time. So I don't feel like I knew that I was going to be. I feel like I've always been a leader in my own right, but I didn't never know that people would rely on me to like create an experience or like to lead them to them anywhere, because it's two different type of leaders. It's a leader that's just like somebody that's always going to take charge, but then there's a leader that like actually leads you to do something like good, like So I think I never envisioned that, or did I just not envision it this fast?
That's dope, and very important too, because you get to see the firsthand, like you said, you on the hook for a lot of this stuff, and you get that experience now versus a lot of people sometimes wait a lifetime for things like this or opportunities to scale up and be able to have be in that type of position. So definitely I think it's a blessing to be able to experience those things now, because you can only imagine, you fast forward X amount of years and the type of stuff you would be able to do and accomplish. And I wanted to ask you, what challenges have you faced so far in doing any of your events or developing your business? Because you've had what we talked about so far, obviously you had a lot of triumph and success because you put in the work and the effort, but what's some of those challenges that people might not necessarily see?
So with like going back to FormFit, I feel like as a small business owner, you never have enough capital. You just never do. And especially when your ideas exceed your pockets. And that's me all day. Like, I'm always trying to do something extra. Like, even with the expo, that was supposed to be something that prepared us, like something small that prepared us to go into this festival that we about to do. Of course, then I got panels. I'm adding panelists. Then I'm adding this. Then I'm adding stars coming out the roofs. So it's just like always something extra with me. So I think that's a challenge that I've had. We've always made it work, but I think what's so crazy is like, you know, you think sometimes you walk away with nothing. Like, and I'm like, dang, like, you know, you do all this work and you walk away with zero. You might have broke even on it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a challenge because, you know, you put in the work, but I think the reward I get out of it is like the experience that other people get from my events and the things that I do. Like, it doesn't matter if I came out of it with zero. So many other people's cups was full from that, and mine was full. I might not have the money to show for it, but, you know, just like after I did my Entrepreneur Expo and how great that went, because that was a different type of event for me, I had a lot of gratitude, like, you know, and I was very humbled for that experience, I think, because it was something new for us and we excelled at it so well. And then just going back to even with the clothing aspect, like, you know, coming off of a viral wave, and then you have to, like, at that point, I'm 18 and I'm dealing with a lot of money and I'm dealing with no operations, you know, because I didn't become a marketing guru till like 3 years ago, but when I went to college. But prior to that, I had no knowledge. You know, I didn't even know how. I always tell people, like, I didn't even know how I did what I did. I just did it and it worked, and I couldn't tell you how I did it. But in that space, with me not knowing what to do, I lost a lot of money, and I also set on a lot of inventory because I was not able to keep up with the amount of like success that had happened that fast. So I had to go back to the bottom, like, you know, go back to square one and put in those foundations and, you know, go back and do the things that I hadn't done at first. Cause, you know, like when I went viral and things like that, I wasn't keeping up with photo shoots. I wasn't keeping up with like advertisement. I wasn't doing none of that yet. Cause I'm like, can I catch my breath? Like, relax. Everybody needs to relax. But, you know, you can't in the midst of 200 people ordering on the site, and like hundreds of people are ordering back to back to back. So that wave set me back, but taught me a lot in a sense of like, you know, just always being prepared and always being willing to, like, you know, continue your knowledge further in a situation when even you may not be prepared. So yeah, those are for sure. It's a lot of challenges, but I feel like those are for sure my biggest two that I've endured.
No, that's very important for people to hear, for sure. And you mentioned the online community and building a digital brand and an online presence. How did you do that? Like, is that something that you started younger and then was able to build upon, or did it all kind of come at once in terms of FormFit, your own personal brand? Like, what was that like? How did you build those up?
So I've been on the internet since I was like 12. So I had thousands and thousands of followers when I was very young, like 17,000 followers, 20,000 followers. I just got hacked like 18 times. So that's why I'm at the stage that I'm at now. But even without the followers now, I have more impact. So, but yeah, it started since I was really, really young, you know, and those people, like, it's people that'll comment on my posts and say, I've been watching you since you was in like the 7th grade.
Wow.
mind you, I don't even talk that much on the internet, but it's always been something. I've just always been there, you know, like the things that I've done, the things that I wear, you know, all of those things, look like the little aesthetics and things like that play a part in your followers and things. And then as I've grown up, of course, I got hacked 18 times, but what's really ironic and funny is a lot of people know me for FormFit, but now that I'm getting deep into the event world, I have a lot of people that come to my events and don't have a clue about me, which I kind of like it that way, because it feels like, you know, it shows that you're getting bigger than yourself. Like, you know, it shows that it's not just you. Like, somebody is following a movement and they might not even know who is the owner of the movement, but they still rocking with it. And that's how a lot of people, like, people will literally come to my shows now and, like, you know, I'm walking around greeting people and things like that, and they be like, oh, you the one that did all of this? And they be so shocked. So I like that feeling too, you know. It's all a blessing. So yeah, for sure, all of it is different. But for sure, FormFit created a lot of buzz around my name and things like that. But like I would say, of course, the FormFit Fashion Show and the FormFit Forum has created an even bigger wave, but it's a different type of wave. It's like a stranger meeting me. It's where it's like FormFit, those are people, like, I can't explain it, like, but they kind of know me in a sense, you know. They know who I am, they've kind of researched who I am, and that's why they fell in love with that brand, with it, like, being Black owned, like a younger girl, and in my target audience, college students, young adults and things like that, so they relate to me. And so I think they're more familiar with me, whereas like those other two brands, these are people that are getting to know me.
So do you think that, let me take a step back. So do you feel that, where do you feel like the future of the fashion industry is going, with you having your posts on it and being involved in it for so many years, having real life experience in terms of business and things like that? Do you foresee any changes, disruptions to the fashion industry, especially like with everything that's going on in the world? Like what are some of the things that you might see on the horizon that might be the next wave or might be the next disruption, good or bad?
So right now, I mean, of course, I want to make everything larger than life. So like, we're like within the next year or so, I want to take it to New York. You know, that I want that to be my first out of state fashion show, because we've grown a little community in New York. So now it's to the point like we're posting and we got to put the stamp on it. Like, we're in Detroit, we're not in New York, because we went out there and did a video and things like that. So I want to make it larger than life. Hopefully it's not no disruptions, but you know how life go, it be life in. So like, but I really want to take it on tour. Whatever we're like, what all we're building in Detroit, I want to continue to make it a movement, and see where it can take us. Like Ohio, Chicago, all of those different, like those little cities that's like near us right now. Those are my next spots to hit. And just kind of like building a movement, like a worldwide movement is where I see it going, and continue to like spread knowledge and wealth to other people, even with FormFit Forum and things like that, wanting to make it big, like super big. But of course that one is a newer thing and I'm still trying to navigate what that may look like. But as far as fashion goes, I'm putting my stamp on it, and it's going to be big.
For sure. And I want to put you on the spot a little bit, because I know that you also have experience in business and do consulting. So I want to ask you, for the people listening, they're interested in doing apparel or just starting a brand business. Let's stick with apparel. Let's say they want to do something in retail, and they have $0 and 0 cents. They listen to this episode right now. What's the Brooklyn Kobe advice as to how they can scale from that idea with no money to being able to make your first dollar with that idea in retail?
Oh, that's a good one. So I can never say that I had $0 and 0 cents.
Okay.
So, you know, I've always had the backing of like my mom, like my mom and dad, they put into my first, like everything. So, you know, like I've never really had a point where I was at $0 and 0 cents. Did I spend the money that I made and was at $0 and 0 cents? Yes, but like
allegedly,
yes, allegedly. But the start, I've never been there.
Okay,
but
let's say like let's take your example of when you saved up your money in high school. So how, if you have tips for people how they could save up so that they can actually do the vision.
So now, like, I think starting a brand is starting a brand. So like, you have to start from somewhere. Use the small $5 you do have, because at the time that I started FormFit, I had already burnt my parents out. They was like, listen, this your 18th business. I'm gonna need you to figure something out. So at that point, you know, like, I had money, but it was like in other places at that point.
Okay.
So for FormFit, I really did probably have $0.00, but I did with what I could. So like, I started with those 4 outfits. Like I said, I had 4 outfits for the photo shoot. That's it. That's all you had for me. And like, I leveraged social media to, like, you know, utilize them to brand that idea and make them see the vision before I had the vision. And that's where the viralness came from, you know, just making them see what you see for the brand. I think that would be my biggest advice, is start where you're at, start with what you can, whether that's one t-shirt, and you just marketing it and finding different ways to like do photo shoots and things like that. Because before I had all of these stellar photo shoots, my photo shoots were kind of janky. Were they better than like the average person's? Yes, but they were still mid, like to where, you know, the capacity that you want them to be at.
Yeah.
So starting with the resources you have, starting with what you got, and just literally starting is like the simplest advice. Because if I would have like thought twice on the idea of FormFit, how, like, would I even have a fashion show? You know? So it's things like that you just gotta like move on when you have the idea, whether you have it or not. And a lot of people are not, you know, when I started FormFit, I didn't have a job at the time. To like leverage that money off of. But sometimes you have to take that money from your 9 to 5 and invest into what you want to do on the side, to get that capital going. Whether it's like I said, it could be $20, you know, whatever you want to do, you just have to take the time out to adjust and like invest in it.
For sure. No, I think that's very sound advice in terms of how you can be able to leverage, like you said, social media, which essentially has no overhead. You don't have to pay anything. But if you can figure out how to scale up to get to that point, or at least hustle and figure out how you can get to the point of, well, let me get this one thing and spend that $20 on getting this t-shirt made because the homie got a Cricut at home, and then putting that online and then selling it.
Yeah, because that's how I started, you know, with FormFit. Before I got like a manufacturer and things like that, I bought the samples, then we got somebody to print on it. So it's like, that's what I had. So, and that's what I was gonna do. Like, you know, that's all you can do.
Right.
So, you know, but with it's my situation, like I said, it's different. Since we went viral, we then immediately had the capital to do it correctly. But for that little point in time, that's what I was doing, like to start it. I got the items from where I got the items from, and then we had somebody embroider on it, or we had somebody, because I was utilizing local people before I got, you know, overseas.
Right. Do you have any tips for anybody on how they can use social media to like scale up their brand? Any like tips that you've learned along the way, whether it's creating content a certain way or posting at a certain time, like anything that you done discovered that is super helpful from social media perspective?
So like I think a lot of people just look at social media for entertainment, but if you want to go in business, I think you really have to start to look beyond like what it, like, you know, social media just like as a platform you just go on to giggle and chuckle, like you know, like really it is something that can be big, you know. I save everything, like even small things, like before I, like, say for instance, on when I do the consulting and things that I do, marketing consulting and things like that, before I even get that client, like, say for instance, if I see a nice looking heel and how they did that video, and I'm gonna save it, you know. If I see how somebody like flipped a burger in the sky and it looked nice, I'm gonna save it. And then later in the future, when I have those clients, like, you know, I'm looking at it for I'm looking at that same stuff that I save to utilize it for them. So I save everything in advance. Like I'm always looking for like, you know, I'm always looking for inspo. Like even Pinterest. I'm a big Pinterest person. Creating mood boards and things like that that you see for your brand. And just always thinking outside of the box. But also not trying to reinvent a wheel that was already created for you to succeed. Like, you know, a lot of people be just trying to do a lot, and it's like, you don't have to do all of that. Skims is showing you right here. Like, just look at it. Like, everything is not a copycat type of situation. Like, she's doing what's been done like before her, then that person did what was done. Everybody is doing the same thing. You just putting your own spin on it. So I think that's my biggest advice, is just, and post the content, you know, just post it, like whether it's ugly or not. Like, you got to start somewhere, and then you'll continue to see the journey. Like, even like looking at people like Mia Ray, she's somebody like you can go back and document her journey from so long ago. Like, you see her on there posting about like her aspirations from like 2015, and then to see where she's at now is so like crazy, you know. And she was just posting the content, you know, and now those are things that people utilize to idolize her. So I think all of those are really good things to keep in mind when you're trying to utilize social media to your advantage.
For sure. And so, Brooklyn, what do you see on the horizon for you next in terms of business, in terms of life? What's like in your crystal ball? We had the chance to do a panel together. That's how we met. And so, do you plan on doing more of that, or like how does that factor potentially into what's coming up next for you? And then also, make sure you talk about your event.
Okay. So I think I'm in a phase right now of really just trying to learn where I'm about to go. Like, I'm in a really like, I'm just trying to learn, like, you know, because even on the marketing aspects, I have so much knowledge and skills, but I need to figure out like which way lane do I want to go in. Do I want to go in sports? Do I want to go in fashion? Do I want to, you know, it's so many different ways you can take marketing. I'm getting a master's degree right now.
Okay.
So I'm in my learning phase, like, and just trying to figure out what do I want to do with everything, and how do I want to execute it, because I got so many different things going on. So I'm just trying to figure out where everything fits and how we're gonna move forward in the future. But of course, events is always on the horizon. I'm gonna continue to do small events, maybe starting like memberships and things like that for the FormFit Forum. That's something I'm about to get super big into, and like creating a lane for the FormFit Forum to exist. Outside of all the other stuff. And then, like I said, events like the Fashion Frequency Festival, August 1st at the Royal Oak Farmers Market. That's something that we're about to blow out of the park. And then after that, we're going to New York Fashion Week. So we got a long year ahead of us. But yeah, so I think that's where I see everything going.
How did the August 1st event come about?
A day, just like me saying I wanted to do a festival. Bet we about to start planning it the next day. And then too, my fashion show at the Huntington place that I did, it was amazing. Like, you know, that was a show that I got to see. So I hadn't felt that way about a show since Masonic Temple, because Masonic Temple, you know, that's like your mid venue. Like, it's big, but more so in the sense of like it's big, but it's not small. It's small, but it's not big.
Okay.
Like, you know,
at first I thought you was calling it mid. I'm like, dang, the Masonic mid. No, I get what you're saying now.
Like,
I'm following.
Mid as in like medium. It's your medium-sized venue. We sold that out, and we gave such an experience. Oh, and mind you, I didn't even know that experience was gonna be like that experience. You know, but that was my first big show. So that was something that's always gonna be held close to heart. But then the Huntington place was like crazy, you know. It was a bigger stage, bigger platform. We spent more money, of course, more people. It was just like an overall great experience. So I think, that was for sure like my thing that let me know, you know, this is what I'm about to do.
And you had to run it back for August.
And I wasn't ready, and I was not ready to do that again. Like, I wasn't, because a fashion show, when I do fashion shows, pop-ups, but that was the first time that the fashion show was ever executed to the best of its capacity, and I was not ready to execute that again to the best of its capacity, like, because I only want to go bigger and better. So I think that was my thing of not doing an actual fashion show pop-up shop, whereas a festival, although it might be a little bit more work, it's more like lax on the fashion show side.
Got you.
So I'm not about to jump into a fashion show and like do the bare minimum, but I could do a festival, and that festival can be great, but it's like, it's your first festival. So it was that thing. It was that for me.
Got you. So Brooklyn, where can the people tap in with you if they want to follow the journey, they want to get involved, they want to purchase some FormFit, they want to come to the show? What's all your handles, website, social media? How can they get in touch with you?
So you guys can follow me at Instagram. It's about to be a whole bunch of names. Brooklyn with 2 N's, Kobe, COBYY. And then FormFit at _ FORMFIT at FormFit Fashion Show, and at FormFit Forum. And then you can place tickets to the festival at formfitfashionshow.org. And then that's also the website, like where you could keep up with events and etc. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, Brooklyn, we appreciate you pulling up on this to the Black Fridays podcast, and really enjoyed the conversation, the work that you're doing, and really looking forward to seeing how you continue to scale, because you've done so much in what seems like a short period of time. I know, like, you know, you and your family in the trenches probably don't seem like that in the moments, but definitely a lot of great work that you've been able to do, and we're here to continue to support the journey. So thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And everybody watching, listening, we're going to tap in with y'all soon. Peace.